Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 13th of March. Astra missile hits target in successful test launch from Tejas Mark 1 variant. Activist accuses Pakistan of suppressing Baloch identity, calls for global support amid train attack. And Awami League leader claims ousted PM Sheikh Hasina will reclaim power. And now for all the details. In a significant boost to India's defence capabilities, the Aeronautical Development Agency successfully conducted a test launch of the indigenously developed Astra beyond visual range air-to-air missile from the LCA-AF Mark 1 prototype fighter aircraft. The test took place on March 12th off the coast of Chandipur, Odisha, and saw the missile scoring a direct hit on a flying target, meeting all mission objectives. According to the Ministry of Defence, all missile subsystems performed accurately, marking a successful demonstration of its capabilities. Developed by the Defence Research and Development Organization, the Astra missile can engage enemy targets over a range of 100 km. Equipped with advanced guidance and navigation systems, it boasts precision strike capabilities, enhancing the Indian Air Force's combat strength. The missile has already been inducted into the IAF arsenal. Moving on, the Baloch Liberation Army's attack on the Jafar Express has reignited tensions in Balochistan. Activist Hakeem Baloch has urged the international community to acknowledge their demands rather than accepting Pakistan's narrative at face value. A report.
Activist Hakeem Baloch, the focal person of the Baloch National Movement's Foreign Committee, has reiterated that the Baloch Liberation Movement will persist until Pakistan ends its control over Balochistan, as he emphasized that the international community must base its stance on facts rather than blindly accepting Pakistan's lies over the attack on the Jafar Express. He said the train attack by the Baloch Liberation Army was a strategic move to send a message to the world that the Baloch are resisting military operation. He further accused Pakistan of using military force instead of engaging in dialogue and responding to BLA's demand for a prisoner exchange, which he warned will only escalate the resistance. The activist also criticized foreign diplomats for condemning the attack while ignoring Baloch demands for the release of political prisoners.
I want to raise a point as well that I've seen that many international high commissioners, especially the European high commissioners, the High Commissioner of the United States and the EU Commission in Pakistan, Islamabad, has condemned the attack. And in that attack, they are asking for the hostage releases, but they're ignoring the fact that the Baloch Liberation Army has put forwarded a statement where they are also demanding for the Baloch prisoners who are illegally detained, who are illegally, abducted without any proper cause, without any proof against them. They should be bring in front. They should be released.
The situation remains tense in Balochistan, with ongoing clashes and heightened military activity in the region. As the conflict unfolds, the Baloch movement continues to push for international recognition of its demands.
A recent congressional briefing in Washington has exposed Pakistan's systematic persecution of Hindus, Christians and other minority groups, with former Pakistani cricketer Danish Kaneria delivering a powerful testimony. Here's the full report.
A landmark congressional briefing held on Wednesday at the United States Rayburn House Office building brought global attention to the plight of Hindu and Christian minorities in Pakistan. Organized by Hindu Action, the event saw participation from prominent U.S. lawmakers, human rights advocates, and media experts who highlighted ongoing religious persecution and human trafficking concerns. During the briefing, former Pakistani cricketer Danish Kaneria, the keynote speaker, delivered a scathing criticism of Pakistan's systemic discrimination. Kaneria, a Hindu, exposed how his cricket career was systematically sabotaged by religious discrimination. He revealed that Pakistan's cricket system excluded him from leadership roles, sidelined his achievements, and ultimately pushed him out of the sport.
क्योंकि मेरे साथ भी ये डिस्क्रिमिनेशन वाली चीज़ हुई है, बहुत ज़्यादा हुई है, मेरे कैरियर को तबाह किया है, ख़त्म किया है, और जिसकी वजह से जो इज्जत, इक्वल वैल्यूज़ मुझे मिलनी चाहिए थी वो नहीं मिली पाकिस्तान में, जिसकी वजह से हम यूएस में हैं अभी.
Several other speakers also highlighted Pakistan's growing role in nurturing extremist networks that have fueled violence not just within its borders, but across the region. They warned that religious minorities in Pakistan continue to live under constant threat. The congressional briefing underscored a growing demand for the US and global community to hold Pakistan accountable for fostering extremism, enabling persecution, and nurturing violence that threatens peace in South Asia and beyond. The discussion further exposed Pakistan's long-standing strategy of exploiting religious divisions to tighten internal control while spreading instability across the region.
Amid mounting cases against ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, a senior leader of her Awami League party, has said that the ousted leader will return as Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Talking to ANI, Vice President of Awami League's US chapter and close aide of Hasina, Rabi Alam, said she is returning as Premier of the South Asian nation, adding that the mass movement by students against Hasina was a mistake as they were manipulated. Terming the Muhammad Yunus-led interim government as pseudo-government, he said that the chief advisor needs to step down as Sheikh Hasina is returning. Lambasting the interim government and the movement against Hasina, Alam termed the uprising as terrorist uprising and said it was meticulously planned to destabilize the country. He added that the country is under direct attack and urged the international community to intervene. He also thanked the Indian government and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for facilitating Sheikh Hasina's safe passage moments before a mob ransacked her official residence in Dhaka.
Bangladesh is under terrorist attack. So it is our pledge and request to the people in the global community to pass and spread this message that Prime Minister Honorable Sheikh Hasina is duly elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh and she needs to be, reinstalled.
Meanwhile, ahead of the visit of the UN chief Antonio Guterres to Dhaka, Bangladesh Hindu-Buddhist Christian Unity Council has alleged violence against religious and ethnic minorities as well as indigenous peoples, which has continued unabated since August 2024. In a press release issued on Wednesday, the country's largest minority right advocacy group claimed that 92 incidents of violence targeting minorities and indigenous people occurred in the first 2 months of this year and added that since the ousting of Sheikh Hasina, there have been more than 2,000 cases of attack on minorities. Considered supporters of Hasina-led Awami League, the minorities, mostly Hindus, face the brunt of communal violence. India, which has a Hindu majority population, expressed deep concern over these developments, condemning the attacks and urging Bangladesh to take decisive action to protect its minority populations. Around 2,000 exiled Tibetan women in India's Dharamshala town held a protest march on Wednesday, commemorating the role of women in the 1959 Tibet uprising. The women protesters held posters and banners as they shouted slogans in the name of their homeland, Tibet. The march was organized by the Tibetan Women's Association, which seeks to foster the equality of Tibetan women in both their homeland and exiled communities. An uprising against Chinese rule in Tibet erupted in 1958 and troops crushed it the following year. The Tibetan Buddhist spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, fled from the crackdown and was granted asylum in India. The Dalai Lama has lived mostly in Dharamshala, where his supporters run a small government in exile and advocate for autonomy for Tibet by peaceful means.
In 1959, when whole of Tibet was illegally occupied by Chinese, so we had the same uprising, same movement done by Tibetan women in front of Potala Palace. So we are commemorating that, and we have been protesting since 1959. It's been the 66th year this year now.
Our demand is very clear to to ask help from the international organizations and the governments to free Tibet.
Hundreds of widows in India's holy town of Vrindavan mark the Hindu festival of colors, Holi, with bright colored dyes and flowers on Wednesday. The widows wearing white played games and threw petals and powdered dyes at each other. In traditional Indian Hindu society, women who have lost their husbands are considered unlucky and face social discrimination. In many parts of India, widows are not permitted to celebrate Holi or participate in other festivals. Vrindavan is considered to be a holy city in India and attracts many widows who can receive support there from non-governmental organizations. The festival of Holi heralds the beginning of spring and will be officially celebrated on March 14th this year.
आज होली खेल रहे हैं। हाँ, ये तो होली वृंदावन का मौजा है, बहुत होली है, बहुत वृंदावन का होली सबसे बड़ा है और इधर सब लोग वृंदावन में होली खेलती है, यही तो बड़ा है।
और हर साल की तरह हम यहाँ गोपीनाथ जी मंदिर में हमारी विधवा माताओं के साथ आज होली का महोत्सव सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं और हमें यही आशा है कि विधवा माताओं का जो हर समय सिर्फ सफेद कपड़ों में रहती हैं, उनका पूरे साल में हर दिन ऐसे ही खुशी भरा रहे, प्रेम भरा रहे और उनका जीवन में इन प्यार भरे रंगों से बिल्कुल भरा रहे।
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.